Downs of Philosophy. I'm your host, Nick Perry. Today I have set out to define what exactly philosophy is, based on the responses from our experts. Now, our first episode, being today, I'm mainly looking for our three main presidential candidates, being Bell Hooks, Rene Descartes, and Socrates. Oh, hey, look, it's our first guest, Socrates. How are you doing? I'm Nick Perry. I'm the host of Ups and Downs.
You just hang out in the elevator every day?
Sometimes I do, but I was really looking for you, Socrates.
You know, you should consider reading some of my books.
You know,
give yourself a hobby.
How do you feel about immigration?
Immigration. Well, Nikki, I wouldn't be Socrates unless I answered your question with a question. And I'd have to say, who do you define as an immigrant?
Well, I would define an immigrant as anyone, any individual that lineage did not originate from this country.
Okay, I get that. Okay, but can I ask you this? Are all your ancestors from this nation, from this country?
Well, of course not, Socrates, but I'm not an immigrant.
You're not an immigrant.
No, I'm not an immigrant.
But doesn't that make us a nation of immigrants?
Oh, of course not, Socrates. What are you thinking about?
Oh, I guess I'm thinking about something completely different.
Think, though, that the nation is of immigrants?
Well, you said you're not an immigrant, but your ancestors.
Okay. I see what you're doing here. We're just gonna chalk this one up and just call you Mr./Mrs. Flexible on that one.
I guess, okay.
Okay. Now, how do you feel about the refugees coming from Syria? Do you think we should let them in?
Nikki, well, I believe that we should let them in. However, I feel like if we use the Socratic method, similar to the way that I did earlier, when you asked me about the immigration, that we can achieve the desired results that we want. We can keep our country safe while still helping this refugee crisis.
So, using your Socratic method of asking questions, you believe that we can keep them safe?
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. Circular reasoning is the key to helping this situation.
Okay. So, with all that being said, Socrates, can I just breeze on to my next question?
I mean, you've been avoiding my questions all night, so I don't see why not.
Well, what makes you
Nikki.
the next leader? Honestly.
Well, honestly, I'm an honest person. But I guess, well, what makes you think that I'm the next great leader?
What makes me think that you're the next leader?
Yeah.
Well, Socrates, your method says that you question questions. So with that being said, all I can say is you're the next leader because you know when to ask questions.
Can I amend something in that?
Sure.
Can I fix it a little bit? I think it's more, I know when and how to ask the right questions. And that's key, the right questions.
I agree. I really and truly want to thank you for coming on Ups and Downs. God, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, give Socrates a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki.
You're welcome.
Thank you, America.
You're welcome.
You'll see me again. Don't.
Oh, look, it's our good friend, Rene Descartes. How are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm fine.
I'm Nick Perry, the host of Ups and Downs.
What are you doing in the elevator?
Well, our show is called the Ups and Downs of Philosophy, and we just happen to be filming in an elevator. Do you mind having a seat and I ask you a few questions?
Sure.
Mr. Descartes, this election has one topic that seems to be an attention grabber. Now, the phrase "in God we trust" is on our currency and our federal buildings. Some are moving to have this removed. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, in my book Meditations, I questioned my existence. And I was able to find that because I'm a thinking thing that I must exist.
Right.
Unless we are being deceived. Which led me to create the principle of sufficient reason.
Okay, yeah.
using the principle of sufficient reasoning, that I exist, I know I exist, that nothing comes from nothing. There is some kind of higher power, some kind of God. And this is like a reminder for me, and I like that.
Well, Mr. Descartes, that sounds like a very logical stance, but I have one more question coming from Twitter, if you don't mind me asking.
Okay.
Now, the new Paris attacks being fresh on our minds, your principle of sufficient reason, beginning the idea of God. Now, using God as a justification for violence, how do you feel about that?
Well, using my principle of sufficient reasoning, I was able to find that a God exists. The definition of God, you should ask Socrates.
Oh, so you're going to throw Socrates up in here like that?
Well, I'm not worried.
Okay. Now, very last question of all. What makes you the next leader, Mr. Descartes?
Well, if developing the principle of sufficient reasoning wasn't reason enough, unintended, then I would say I'm more logical than most of the candidates.
Well, no doubt. I agree with you totally. Well, good luck to you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Renee Descartes, it was nice having you on the show, Renee.
Thank you.
Oh, look, it's Bill Hooks. Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm great, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm Nick Perry, the host
Nice
of
to
Ups
meet
and
you.
Downs. Would you like to have a seat right here, ma'am?
Sure, yeah.
Now, not to sound any kind of stalkerish, but I've been really looking for you. I have a couple questions regarding the presidential debate.
Okay, yes, no problem.
Do you mind answering them for me?
No, not at all.
All right, the first one I have for you is, what do you think about the abolishment of the Department of Education?
I think that it has great intentions, being that it would make classrooms and education smaller, and it would push students and support students to have actualize their freedoms, which is really what education is all about.
Another question for you, coming from Twitter.
Twitter, okay.
You know what Twitter is, right?
I would be lying if I said I did.
Okay. Well, the question is, I'm pretty sure you have filled out some type of employment application where you have to check your race.
Yes.
Now, how do you feel about that? You know, defining your race in a box. How do you feel about it, Ms. Hooks?
I have a philosophy of asking the right questions, and I believe that this is the wrong question. There's just no reasoning in having a question like this. I've done a lot of civil rights in my lifetime, and I believe that this, removing the check boxes, is the next step.
Okay. I agree with you, Ms. Hooks. Now, I know you're a busy lady, and I have one more final question for you. What makes you the next candidate?
I believe that the candidate should be a leader. And a good leader is almost like a good teacher. You are responsible, you're personable, and you ask the right questions. And I believe that I can do that.
Thank you, Ms. Hooks. That was a great response. Thank you for your time. So now that we've had time with our experts, let's see what we learned. With Socrates, we find that it's important to ask questions. With René Descartes, we find that using reason is essential to asking the right questions. And then lastly, ending with Ms. Hooks, we discovered that it's important to implement both of these strategies together. We achieve the result of actualizing our freedoms. So, based on our answers of our experts, it's safe to say that philosophy is a consistent application of logic and reasoning through questioning the objects and ideas of our reality and ourselves to gain knowledge or freedom. That is what philosophy is.